Imagine a single day of such staggering violence. It rewrites the rules of history. This isn't a myth or a legend. This is the 16th century Mediterranean, where two global superpowers are on a collision course. On one side, an unstoppable empire, its shadow stretching across the known world. On the other, a desperate, last-ditch alliance of rivals who had to unite or face oblivion. The stage is set for an apocalyptic confrontation at sea. The weapons are cannons, swords, and thousands of men chained to their oars. The prize is the future of the Western world itself. What followed was a storm of fire, wood, and steel, so brutal it became a benchmark for naval carnage for centuries to come. This is the story of Lepanto. The day the sea ran red, the fate of continents hung in the balance. The Battle of Lepanto was one of the bloodiest naval battles in history. Surpassing legendary sieges like Troy, this war killed more men in a single day than the legendary sieges of Troy or the Viking raids that terrorized Europe. A clash so brutal, so decisive, that it carved a scar across history and changed the fate of entire continents. Tens of thousands of lives were lost, entire fleets were shattered, and the balance of power in the Mediterranean was forever altered. The year was 1571, and the battle that made all this possible would be known as the Battle of Lepanto, the last great naval clash of the o'erpowered age, and one of the most pivotal moments in world history. But to understand why this battle mattered so deeply, we have to travel back decades before that fateful October day. The story is not just about ships and soldiers. It's about a collision of empires, faiths, and ambitions at the heart of a world on the brink of modernity. The Ottoman Empire at this time was an unstoppable juggernaut. From its capital in Constantinople, the city that rose from the ruins of the Byzantine Empire itself, the Ottomans had expanded across 3 continents. They ruled vast swaths of the Middle East, North Africa, and much of southeastern Europe. Their armies were among the most disciplined and fearsome on earth. Their navy, the dominant force across the eastern Mediterranean Sea. The Ottomans had conquered territories that had once been thriving centers of Christian and Byzantine culture. And to many Europeans, they represented an existential threat. The Mediterranean, more than just a body of water, was the lifeblood of trade, culture, and strategy. Whoever controlled it had access to routes that linked Europe with Africa, Asia, and the New World beyond. The fall of key ports meant the loss of vital trade goods like spices, silks, and gold, and the rise or fall of empires. By the late 16th century, the Ottomans seemed poised to control the entire Mediterranean, making it, in essence, a Turkish lake. Meanwhile, Europe was fractured. Political rivalries, religious wars, centuries of distrust divided the great Christian powers of Spain, Venice, the Papal States, and others. Each saw the other as the bigger threat or rival, rather than uniting against the common Ottoman menace. This division made resistance difficult, until one man, Pope Pius V, made it his mission to bring Europe together for a common cause. The Pope called for a crusade, a holy war on the seas. Against all odds, Spain, Venice, Genoa, and the Papal States agreed to form an alliance known as the Holy League. It was a rare moment of unity, fraught with tension and suspicion, yet powerful in its purpose. For this coalition, the stakes were clear: to stop Ottoman domination and protect Christian Europe. Leadership of the fleet fell to the young and charismatic Don Juan of Austria, the illegitimate son of Emperor Charles V and half-brother to King Philip II of Spain. Don Juan was a natural commander, known for his courage and charisma, though he was young and relatively inexperienced. Yet fate would thrust him into one of history's most dramatic roles: a commander of a fleet that would face the Ottoman Armada in a battle that would decide the future of the Mediterranean. Asterisk on the Ottoman side, the fleet was led by Muhsinzad Ali Pasha, a seasoned admiral commanding one of the largest naval forces ever assembled. The Ottoman fleet included hundreds of galleys, powered by thousands of rowers, many of whom were Christian slaves chained to their benches, and bristled with soldiers ready to board enemy ships and fight hand-to-hand. The two fleets met on the morning of October 7, 1571, in the Gulf of Patras, near Lepanto in western Greece. The Holy League's fleet numbered over 200 ships, packed with roughly 80,000 men. The Ottoman fleet was just as massive. The two armadas faced off in silence before the cacophony of battle exploded, signaling what many historians believe was the bloodiest single day of naval combat in history. The battle was brutal and savage. The ships collided like giant beasts, timbers cracking and splintering upon impact. Soldiers fought on narrow decks in horror and chaos, filled with smoke from cannon fire and muskets. The water below was stained dark red with the blood of fallen warriors. In the clash, fighters did not just shoot from afar. They boarded enemy ships, locked in hand-to-hand combat with swords, pikes, and axes. Among those on the Christian side was Miguel de Cervantes, the Spanish writer who would later pen Don Quixote. Cervantes fought bravely in the battle, commanding a ship in the thick of the action. He was wounded twice during the fighting, and his bravery under fire earned him lifelong renown. For Cervantes, and thousands like him, Lepanto was more than just a battle. It was an epic crucible that tested courage, faith, and the very limits of human endurance. As the battle raged, Don John's flagship found itself locked in mortal combat with the Ottoman flagship. The two commanders faced perils that could decide everything. At a critical moment, Ottoman Admiral Ali Pasha was killed, his head severed and held high as a grisly trophy on a pike. The loss shattered Ottoman morale, shaking the unity of their vast fleet. Ottoman ships began to scatter and retreat, waves of chaos spreading quickly. The Holy League pressed their advantage, capturing or burning close to 200 Ottoman vessels by nightfall. Tens of thousands of Ottoman soldiers were killed or captured, including many rowers freed from slavery. The Christians had won a resounding and symbolic victory. The news of the victory spread like wildfire across Europe. Church bells rang out, cities celebrated, and artists immortalized the battle's glory in paintings that would hang for centuries. For many, Lepanto meant the end of Ottoman naval domination and a reversal of centuries' worth of fear and uncertainty. But the truth often omitted from history lessons is more complicated. Despite the decisive victory, the Ottomans rebuilt their navy within 2 years. The Mediterranean remained contested ground for centuries. Lepanto, as momentous as it was, did not crush the Ottoman Empire or end its expansion. It was a significant turning point, but one in a long and ongoing struggle. The battle did serve as a psychological victory for Europe. It proved the Ottomans could be defeated and that a united Christian front could stand firm. This gave hope to a continent worn by centuries of division and war. And perhaps just as importantly, Lepanto marked a technological and tactical shift. It was the last great battle fought with galleys, slim, oar-powered warships, suited for close combat and boarding. In the years following Lepanto, new styles of naval warfare emerged. Sailing ships with powerful broadside cannons would dominate the seas. Empires would rise with fleets that sailed vast oceans, shaping the course of global history in ways that are still felt today. Miguel de Cervantes later wrote of his experience at Lepanto, describing the terror and heroism of the day. His personal tales remind us that history is made not only by grand strategies and royal decrees, but by the bravery of individuals in moments of unimaginable crisis. The Battle of Lepanto was more than just a military confrontation. It was a clash of civilizations at a critical turning point, a brutal contest between faiths and empires struggling for supremacy. It was a last stand of an ancient style of warfare and the dawn of a new age that would shape the future of Europe and the wider world. So when you hear of Lepanto, remember it as a day when the tides of history turned sharply, when thousands fought and died on raging seas, when empires battled for survival, and a fragile alliance held firm against the storm. And now, the story doesn't end here. Lepanto was but one chapter in a larger saga of war, politics, and culture that continued to shape continents. If this story captivated your imagination, subscribe for part 2, where we will unravel the aftermath of Lepanto. So what was the true legacy of this cataclysmic battle? It wasn't the end of an empire, but the end of an era. Lepanto shattered an illusion of invincibility and proved that even the most powerful tides can be turned. The world was already shifting. Moving from the confined sea, where galleys clashed, to the vast oceans where new empires would be born under sail, the real victory was not just in the waters off Greece, but in the mind of Europe. It was a spark of defiance, a proof that unity was possible. The courage shown that day, from commanders to future authors, became a legend that would echo for centuries, reminding us that a single day of fury can forever alter the course of human history. Setting the stage for the modern world we know today,